we got to be ready to be out on point and ready to go at a moment's notice.
US Navy's billion-dollar laser aircraft carrier takes on China. The USS Gerald R. Ford was deployed on October 4, 2022, and is America's newest aircraft carrier. This mammoth of a ship cost the US $13.3 billion, and despite this value, its survivability is in question. The ship was deployed amid escalating tensions in the Pacific region, with it being poised to face off against China and their plethora of deadly hypersonic missiles. Join us as we take a look at the US Navy's trump card against the technological prowess of China's missiles. The USS Gerald R. Ford. After 5 long years since being commissioned, America finally deployed the most expensive and largest warship in the world. Known as the USS Gerald R. Ford, it features an expansive 5-acre flight deck and incorporates cutting-edge technologies, aimed at maintaining its status as the world's most powerful aircraft carrier well into 2050 and beyond. The carrier accommodates 4 squadrons of fighters and a diverse array of support and tactical aircraft, with a total capacity of over 60 planes, potentially expanding to 90. Rising over 9 stories above the waterline and weighing 97,000 tons, the Ford surpasses the size and weight of the largest battleships from World War II by 32,000 tons. Despite its colossal dimensions, the carrier boasts impressive speed. It can glide by at a speed of 34 miles per hour. Powered by advanced A-1B nuclear reactors, it possesses nearly 3 times the power of existing American supercarriers, amounting to approximately 300 megawatts of electrical power. How ships defend against threats. When you invest $13.3 billion into an expensive ship, you don't want to lose it easily. Ships have multiple countermeasures against threats like ship-killing missiles, such as the CIWS, RAM, standard missiles or guns. The Phalanx Close-In Weapons System, or CIWS, is a highly precise and lethal weapon. This radar-controlled Gatling gun consists of 6 barrels and fires tungsten alloy darts at a staggering rate of 4,500 per minute. The CIWS keeps track of both the target and the stream of darts being fired to assure accuracy. By quickly adjusting the aim, the computer achieves lethal precision by quickly determining the deviation angle between the two. But because it only has a few miles of effective range, it is mostly used as a last resort weapon. In contrast, the Rolling Airframe Missile, or RAM, employs a combination of radar and infrared technologies to achieve a high probability of success in short-range defense scenarios. The missile utilizes an oval-shaped launcher that takes guidance from shipboard sensors, enabling it to orient itself towards incoming threats. While the RAM offers a greater range than the Phalanx system, it is still primarily classified as a short-range defense system. Ships also use standard missiles to go up against threats, with the SM missile type providing a variety of capabilities for a wide array of tasks. They are capable of engaging satellites, ballistic missiles, ground targets, and other ships. The SM-2 is extensively used in defense against anti-ship cruise missiles, or ASCM. Countermeasures include guns too. Most warships are equipped with deck-mounted guns, with the 127mm variant being the most prevalent in the fleet. These guns work by deploying airburst shells that create a barrier of shrapnel that intercepts and destroys ASCMs. While vessels like the Ford-class carriers have an array of anti-missile defenses, none are capable of providing long-term protection against China's latest weaponry in a prolonged battle. The arms race continues perpetually. The threat of hypersonic missiles. A report from the Congressional Research Service from August of 2022 highlights concerns regarding the vulnerability of Navy surface ships in potential combat scenarios against adversaries armed with large numbers of UAVs and advanced anti-ship missiles, particularly China. China's new anti-ship missiles, some capable of hypersonic speeds exceeding Mach 5, pose a significant threat to the Ford-class carriers and the entire Pacific Fleet. To put into perspective how fast hypersonic is, the term supersonic refers to speeds exceeding the speed of sound, while hypersonic specifically denotes speeds 5 times faster than the speed of sound. That's 2.5 times faster than an F-16. Weapons traveling at speeds greater than 5 times the speed of sound are generally referred to as hypersonic weapons. While hypersonic weapons have existed since the Cold War in the form of intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, the term now encompasses efforts to combine the speed of ICBMs with the precision of cruise missiles. The new generation of hypersonic systems consists of hypersonic cruise missiles and hypersonic glide vehicles. Hypersonic cruise missiles, or HCMs, resemble conventional cruise missiles but use scramjets for propulsion, enabling them to reach hypersonic speeds at higher cruising altitudes of 20 to 30 kilometers. On the other hand, hypersonic glide vehicles, or HGVs, need booster rockets to reach heights of 40 to 100 kilometers. Once at the desired altitude, the HGV breaks from the launcher and glides at hypersonic speeds towards its target. HGV programs are active in the United States, China, and Russia, with the latter two already having operating systems. China is actively developing hypersonic weapons to bolster its nuclear second strike capabilities. Additionally, China has shown particular interest in anti-ship hypersonic missiles, which could enable the People's Liberation Army to execute anti-access and area denial operations, impeding US assistance to Taiwan. China currently deploys 2 HGVs, namely the DF-17 and the DF-ZF. Not only that, but China has significantly expanded its naval fleet in the past decade and has developed various anti-ship weapons, including highly maneuverable hypersonic missiles that can reach speeds of up to Mach 10. China openly acknowledges that these weapons are intended to deter American ships, with one of its weapons testing sites in the Taklamakan Desert featuring full-size mock-ups of US aircraft carriers used for target practice. As the US scales up their naval prowess, so does China increase investment in the technology that counters them. We've seen arms races like these since early World War I, where German U-boats devastated Allied ships and trade vessels before proper countermeasures were developed. Even the most advanced ships of today are vulnerable to these new missiles. Tensions in the region. When the Soviet Union fell, the US Navy enjoyed a period of undisputed maritime dominance. This offered a chance to create even more cutting-edge weapons to fend off any future competitors that could materialize. However, instead of enhancing their fleet during this period, the US Navy allowed it to decline. Ship numbers decreased, and they failed to improve their capabilities in anti-ship cruise missiles. However, their rivals took a different approach. China embarked on a substantial naval expansion and developed a range of long-range ASCMs. Russia also deployed new iterations of ship-killing missiles. Even after all these years, the US is still using ASCMs that were developed in the 1970s. Meanwhile, its rivals are using the latest technology available in the field. In surface warfare, the US Navy, once dominant, now finds itself outmatched. Both China and Russia possesses ASCMs with longer range, greater speed, and larger warheads compared to the outdated subsonic US Harpoon ASCM. Recognizing the danger presented by China's fast naval expansion, the Biden administration appointed a Pentagon task team to evaluate the issue in 2021. Based on the task force's conclusions, the Pentagon designated China as America's most consequential strategic competitor a year later. China's naval development comes at a critical juncture in the area. The government claims ownership over a large area of the South China Sea, far beyond its own borders. These territorial claims, however, are hotly debated, because international law recognizes territorial limits only up to 12 nautical miles from the coast. The ability to uphold unimpeded shipping routes relies heavily on the presence of the US naval forces. However, this places the Pacific Fleet within the dangerous reach of China's arsenal of anti-ship missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles, leaving it defenseless and incapable of mounting a viable counteroffensive. The predicament lies in the fact that neither the FA-18 Super Hornet nor the F-35C possesses the capability to engage targets situated beyond a meager distance of approximately 700 miles, and these are the jets employed by the aircraft carriers. This glaring drawback presents an immense challenge for the United States, necessitating the urgent exploration of effective strategies to mitigate this vulnerability and ensure a robust response to potential threats in the region. With a fleet exceeding 770 naval, coast guard, and various military vessels, China's maritime might now surpasses that of the United States. which operates a fleet only half its size. Furthermore, China's formidable naval power is primarily concentrated in the Pacific region, while the US fleet is spread across both the Atlantic and Pacific theaters. This significant power of China is further strengthened by a sizable arsenal of cutting-edge anti-ship weapons, which includes aircraft, warships, and ground-launched missiles. The DF-21D, DF-26, and DF-ZF, demonstrating China's long-range missile capabilities, are some of their most potent weapons. In the event of a naval conflict, the US Navy would find itself constrained to a purely defensive stance, as enemy vessels would unleash ASCMs from distances beyond the reach of US counteroffensives. Consequently, the US fleet faces a daunting challenge in defending against the imminent missile onslaught. How can the US fleet effectively safeguard itself against this relentless wave of missiles? America's answer to China. The current solution of shooting down anti-ship missiles with more missiles may prove ineffective when encountering hypersonic munitions, as their increased maneuverability makes it difficult to intercept them. Furthermore, while the Ford is supported by a carrier strike group, which has an ample stockpile of munitions to deter missiles from a distance of 200 miles, they will eventually run out of ammo. Ammo can be replenished at sea, but some require the ships to return to port. This is known as a depth of magazine problem. A saturation attack or a swarm attack conducted by China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea can force US naval assets to completely expend all their ammo in defense without even getting a chance of responding and countering the actual threat that is the source of their issues. The Ford and other US Navy ships desperately need increased survivability if they are to avoid losing to attrition, and for that purpose the Ford's powerful reactors may be the key to help them. The US Navy is dedicating all of its resources to one new technology, and that is the laser. Lasers have seemed elusive for decades, but they may be the solution the US needs to keep their ships alive and to maintain their dominance in the Pacific. As lasers only need energy as their source of ammo, they can last as long as the nuclear reactors on the ship will let them, meaning their firing opportunities are nearly unlimited. The self-defense of carriers can be improved by implementing laser countermeasures to support the short-range defense system, and they're cheap to use too, costing only $1 to $10 to fire, compared to the $1 to $10 million cost of defensive missiles. Low-power lasers can scramble the optical sensors of a drone, while a high-power one can destroy it completely. They can also reload quickly, making lasers perfect for defending against cheap enemy drones attack instead of wasting million-dollar missiles on them. Hypersonic weapons are extremely slow when compared to the speed of lasers. Lasers can fire at the speed of light, diminishing the speed advantage of a hypersonic weapon. Lasers have been used in the US Navy since 2014, with the 33 kilowatt AN-SEQ-3 laser weapon system, which showed incredible promise in testing. But we wouldn't see the next evolution of this concept until 2022, with Lockheed Martin's Helios. Helios boasted a minimum power draw of 60 kilowatts, with the potential to scale up to a whopping 150. However, even at 150 kilowatts, the best it could do was harm drones and small ships. To stop something like a hypersonic anti-ship cruise missile traveling at 5 times the speed of sound, you will need something more powerful. These missiles are made of extremely heat-resistant materials, like pyrolytic graphite or pyroceram ceramics. They're made to handle the high temperature of supersonic flight that can reach upwards of 1000 degrees Fahrenheit. Furthermore, a laser with the capability of punching through such strong substances while overcoming atmospheric turbulence would drain 300 kilowatts of power. Power management is a big issue with lasers currently, and building such a laser would result in a huge weapon that would require a consequently huge ship to put it on. Secondly, this massive ship would also require a large enough generator or capacitor bank to provide the required 300 kilowatts of power continuously. Luckily for the US, their $13.3 billion investment fits this criteria. The Ford is what gives the US Navy the flexibility to develop the next generation of weapon systems that can ensure its survivability. It's where most innovation in the US Navy can be found. The ship is designed to be much lighter than its Nimitz-class predecessor. The Nimitz is overburdened. Its electric plant is almost reaching maximum capacity, meaning no more systems can be added on top of it. The Ford, on the other hand, has plenty of excess capacity to allow for additional systems to be installed, given that its nuclear reactor is 3 times more powerful than the reactor on the Nimitz. As a result, the Ford's defenses can be bolstered when equipped with a powerful laser, aiding it in a time when its survivability is in question. The powerful laser in question will most likely be the experimental Hellcat weapon. The Navy plans to test this weapon in 2024, and in their budget request to Congress, Hellcat is being specifically made to counter ASCMs. This means dealing with challenges such as atmospheric turbulence and precision target tracking. Like the evolved Sea Sparrow missile, lasers can have a huge impact on the air defense of a vessel, but the likelihood of a laser taking down a Mach 10 hypersonic missile is low. Uncertainty about lasers. While the Hellcat will be able to take down cruise missiles, it might not be able to address all threats faced by carriers, especially hypersonic missiles traveling at 10 times the speed of sound. Their materials are even more heat resistant, being able to handle 1700 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. In order to deal with something like that, a 1 megawatt laser may be needed, according to the Pentagon. A laser of such proportions is still years away from coming to fruition, but the US is determined to see it through. So much so that they've cancelled research on 2 other projects. Those were gun-launched guided projectiles, or GLGPs, and railguns, meaning all of the Pentagon's eggs are in this laser basket. Let us know if you think the Navy could successfully develop their laser tech before a conflict with China, and be sure to subscribe for more.